and welcome to the Power Up Talk Show, a talk show where we bring together community leaders and inspirational people that are making a difference. Today, joining us is Hannah. I want to make sure I get this right. Sheffield,
yeah.
Sprinkle Joy.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, Dion Bass made something mocktail for us.
Yeah.
If you notice, she's having a baby. So cheers to us.
Cheers.
It's a mocktail. Let's see
All
what
right.
it tastes like. He's always
really
so
good.
good. One more sip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she is a wife, a mother of one and one on the way, and a military wife, which is spectacular. And she decided, I need to do more. I'm going to open up Sprinkle Joy. It's a custard. What else do you do? Custard?
Yeah,
Custard.
custard,
100%
yeah,
custard.
frozen custard.
Okay, we're going to talk about this journey. First of all, anything else I missed out in the introduction? What can you share with the world a little bit about Hannah?
Yeah, so I think those are the most important things. Wife and mother. I'm a person of faith, and that's led me on this journey. And those are the most important things. And then I also own Sprinkle Joy frozen custard. And yes, you're right. Frozen custard, it's all we do. It's what we focus on. So we, do a high quality product, and that's what we perfect.
All right. Well, tell the journey. Like, what sparked you? Because when we met and you told me the journey, I thought the journey was beautiful. How it sparked something in you to make a change.
Yeah. So ever since I got out of school, I've kind of had a desire to do something of my own. But I was in the corporate world for 10 years and met my husband at some point, and we moved. He's in the military, so we moved a lot. And at our last duty station in Georgia, it was a small town down in southern Georgia. It's hot all the time, cute small town, and I was just perplexed that there was no ice cream shop there. So for 3 years while we were there, this little voice in my head was like, there needs to be an ice cream shop here. There needs to be an ice cream shop here. And then our pastor at the church we attended started a series of the Holy Spirit's in everyone. He told this story about how he listened to the voice inside of his head, and it really changed his life path. And I was kind of sitting there in the audience, like a little bit shocked, like, oh, this little voice has been in my head about this ice cream shop, which when I had all my entrepreneur dreams, like ice cream shop was never, that was never on the radar. But it just all kind of like came together, those few sermon series. And I was like, okay, I'm listening. I'm going to explore and see what this means. We had been in Georgia for 3 years, so we were looking at potentially being told we were going to move within the next year. So we had to be mindful of that. And we kind of stumbled upon this, they called it a farmer's market. It was really more like a cooperative in this tiny town. And they had a pecan farm, had a bakery. So they had their pecan products and baked goods there. And some local ranchers had their beef products there. And just like a kind of a plethora of things. And when I approached, it was actually owned by the city. So when I approached the city, they were like, oh, yes, please.
I love that.
Set up your ice cream shop in our building. And I was kind of dumbfounded, but also like, well, clearly, like the little voice inside my head was one thing, and now this place for me to open shop is like on the doorstep, which like this tiny town had nothing in it besides, obviously like McDonald's and Dairy Queen. But like other than that, like I was so very clear to me that like that's what I was meant to do. So I leaned into that. I quit my corporate job, got the ice cream shop set up. I think we were open for about a month, and then the military was like, you're moving.
Start over.
Yes. And so we heard we were moving to Omaha. And for personal reasons, I was excited. I'm from Kansas City. My family's still in Kansas City. I love the Midwest. But for business reasons, I was like, oh no, like I just started this ice cream shop. I just invested a lot of money in the equipment and startup costs. And I'm like, growing up in Kansas City, I'm super familiar with frozen custard. There's several well-established frozen custard places when I grew up, and I just assumed Omaha had the same thing. And when I searched and found out it was only a few chain restaurants that just don't have the same quality as those that are focused on frozen custard. I was surprised and also like kind of excited. I was like, well, let's go do this.
Yes.
So moved here and through a long journey of that, again, kind of like frustrated, like, is this what I'm supposed to do? Hitting roadblock after roadblock in Omaha, and then kind of an opportunity opened up that fit perfectly. So I was able to reopen and get started.
I love how your spirit of just listening to the Holy Spirit, God opens up that door.
Yeah.
Here it is. Now let's talk about that opportunity that you had in La Vista, right?
Yeah.
Because I think it's just funny how God just does his miracles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Share that journey, because I think that's pretty special, how everything just really fit together.
Yeah. So as a lot of business owners probably know, commercial real estate's not inexpensive. They usually want you to sign a long lease. Being a military family, that's not very feasible. I found a few places, but they would need a lot of construction, and that was also very expensive. So then I started to try and think of different ways to make it happen. And I thought about coffee shops, so I reached out to a few of those. I was close to going inside of one, and then that fell through. And so the roller coaster of frustration and questions of like, is this really like, or do I just call it focus on my family? We wanted to have another kid. So I was like, it was, back and forth. And then I had a SCORE mentor, and he had kind of found out that journey, and he was like, you know what? I know someone that owns a catering company, Elegant Edge. Let me connect you with the owner, Natalie. And she has like a cafe front that I don't really know what she's doing with. So I connected with her, and it was perfect because she has her catering company using that commercial kitchen in the back. Used to have a cafe space, but was no longer using it. And so then I was just able to take over the cafe space, and it was really perfect. Then things changed a little bit, and I was working with Happy Mango Bakery in that same strip mall. And they were making toppings for the ice cream. And then they invited me to come into their space with them. And Natalie's great.
I love Natalie. Yes, I love
all of
Natalie.
that was awesome.
Yeah.
Hard to leave that situation. But I just felt like the businesses aligned with Happy Mango Bakery almost perfectly. I felt like kind of another sign from God, like, hey, it's always hard to like get up and move the business, even though it was like in the same strip mall. Still works. Still got to change my address on all the admin forms and make sure Google knows where I am and all that stuff. But it just seemed to make sense. So so now we're inside Happy Mango Bakery, and we opened just about a couple weeks ago.
Now, what I love about it that you shared with me is the colors. Like, okay, I love sprinkle and joy. It just brings me joy. Yeah. But when you said the colors aligned with your colors, right? Yeah. And it just was like a beautiful setting. Yeah. I thought that was just perfect.
Yeah, it was. And she even has her wall painted with like colors that matched the chairs that I had bought for the other location. And then in the colors, she has written like spread joy like sprinkles. So it seems like could be more of a more like aligned outlook on.
And how long has that been?
So we started moving our equipment in like February, but we just reopened early March. So.
And where's the location? In case you're out there thinking, I want to go see the Joy Place. Okay, where's that location?
So it's at 96 and Giles in La Vista. The actual address is 9635 Giles Road.
9635 if you need some joy.
Yes.
Okay, what I find interesting is custard, ice cream. Ice cream, custard. What's the difference? Tell the audience.
Yeah, well, I admit sometimes I just say ice cream because that's
people
what people know.
Yeah.
And on an ingredient list, like very similar to ice cream. It has the cream and the sugar, and it's frozen and it's delicious. Custard technically like has to have a certain amount of butterfat and a certain amount of egg yolk. And some ice cream places still use those higher butterfats because that makes it delicious. So to me, the biggest difference is that frozen custard is made in a special machine that doesn't churn as much air into it.
Like turns it or something, right?
It kind of comes out like when I was in Georgia, when the machine was running, one girl came into the shop. She was like, it looks like cream cheese.
Because it's so thick. That's what makes it yummy.
Thick. Yeah, it's so thick. It really doesn't have any air, virtually no air in it. So it's creamy. You get like a lot more of the product in your mouth, and it just feels very rich, and the flavor's intense. So,
Yummy. I wish you would have had some right now. Let's talk about flavors, right? What's the number one flavor that people order?
yeah, so frozen custard is kind of, well, it's pretty different. Obviously, it's not different much in ingredients like I shared, but the experience is different because typically shops just have vanilla and chocolate.
Yeah.
It's being made nearly every day. So to have additional flavors is time consuming, but then you're also needing to sell that much throughput so you can keep that product fresh. So usually it's vanilla and chocolate. We also have a dairy-free vanilla, and then we sometimes do like pop-up flavors. Like last summer I did a strawberry. I'm really hoping to do a lemon soon. Yes.
Make sure you call me on that one.
I know.
I got my lemon color. It's my color, and I love lemons.
I love lemon.
Yeah.
I know. I would have lemon permanently on available if I could. We'll see.
Easter.
Maybe we grow. Yeah.
I can't wait to you don't forget to call me on that. I will do a post and everything.
The lemon is coming.
Nice.
But yeah, generally it's vanilla, chocolate, and then you kind of build your own flavor. We have almost 30 toppings at the store. So if you traditionally like cookies and cream, you can get Oreos, and we can mix that in. It's not like a milkshake. Like we don't mix it to all of the ingredients
Like
are
poppers.
obliterated. It's just kind of like stirred in. So it's kind of like, what you do when you get like a hard scoop ice cream. It's like churned in there.
Yeah.
And then we have some of like our menu favorites, our house favorites. I would say one of the most popular is our Cuckoo for Cocoa. It's chocolate and scratch-made brownies and scratch-made hot fudge.
Wow.
I'm not a chocolate ice cream fan, but that one's really good.
Scratch like you make the brownies?
So Happy Mango makes the brownies and the hot fudge.
Yummy.
Yeah. So they make our brownies, hot fudge, sugar cookies, our waffle cone bowls. We have a scratch-made blueberry syrup they do, and we're always looking.
Now, the one thing I was surprised, I was just at this conference, women's conference, and I look over and there's Hannah with Sprinkle Joy, and I'm like, you have to-go pop-ups? Hello, I didn't know this.
Yes.
Share that, because
Yes.
she's coming to the Women with Voices Summit. There's no way she's getting out of it unless, kids. But I think that was so cool. And you had all your toppings. And what I love is that you had your little girl there that's 4 years old, and she's just helping mommy. So share about the pop-up mobile.
Yeah. So we can do basically build your own sundae bar is what I call it. And I pre-scoop the custard, so whatever vanilla, chocolate, or dairy-free you want. And then I bring my little freezer and I set out whatever toppings you'd like. And then you basically have guests build their own sundaes.
Now, is there a limit for companies in case there's a company out there going, I want to bring this to my company?
Yeah.
What's the standards? Like, do you have to have so many people? Do you have to, how does it work?
Yeah, good question. So for pre-orders, I can do as small as like 40 people.
Okay.
And then I get ambitious and say yes, I could do so many. My current setup can hold about 200, but it's a small freezer. And again, I'm hoping to grow this part of the business. So I would, if someone approached me and was like, I have 500 and I want you to do it, and blah, 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 I'd be like, okay, I'm going to make that work.
Hannah's going to make it work.
I'm going to make it work.
You might involve your husband making around too. Go get it.
Yep.
I think that's great that you're so courageous and you just take opportunity by the hand and you just say yes. Because you are bringing joy. And the one thing I loved about you, Hannah, when I met you at the One with Voices coffee, is that faith. I love how you bring faith into your business. And we always know when we bring God into the picture, just sparkles joy. And it's so Jesus. Okay, let's talk about being a military wife and a mother.
Yeah.
When's your baby due?
End of May.
Okay, nice. Do you know what you're having?
A girl.
Okay, so two girls. Sprinkles to more joy. I love that.
Yes.
What's the hardest thing about being a military wife?
Yeah, I think it's just learning how to adapt, learning how to recognize when you need help. I'm definitely one that you kind of just pointed out, I'll do it. I'll get it done.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always work. And so community, and in the military community, this is like a broken record. You have to find your community. You're going to new communities all the time. you have to find your community. And it's not hard, or it's not easy, but it makes a huge difference. And so that's really, you kind of have to go with the flow. You have to learn to go with the flow. Change is inevitable. And then you have to learn how to build your community, because that's really going to be the big difference.
Okay, you just touched something that I love. I build communities. One of the Voices community, my Power Up community. I've been a chamber cheerleader for years.
Yeah.
Every town and city I've lived in, I just build communities.
Nice.
How do you build your community?
Yeah, well, in Georgia, it was tough.
Yeah,
we decided to live in the opposite direction of Base from most other people. So we lived in a small town north of Base, and most people lived in the bigger town south of Base. So I learned the hard way that like isolation is not good. And you know, I think it's hard to answer that question, but I think the best answer I have is like, you just got to identify how it works best in the community that you're in. So like, you got to kind of figure out like, okay, what are people doing in this community? In Georgia, people were going to church. Yeah. So that's how we found our community in Georgia. In Omaha, like there's tons of things, tons of opportunities, moms groups, women's networking groups, you know, all of those things. And again, it's not easy. It's intimidating to go to those things and to make new friends, and especially in a state like, luckily Omaha is like pretty military heavy, so they're kind of used to like seeing new faces. But sometimes you'll get stationed at a place that's not quite as military influenced, and everybody's got their people. So like it can be difficult, but you just have to do hard things.
Now, was that your first Women with Voices coffee that I saw you at?
It was, yeah.
And how'd you feel?
It was great.
Okay, yeah. So here she is in my talk show. Yeah. That's the thing, yes, to opportunities, right?
Right.
If you wouldn't have showed up, I wouldn't have met this amazing Sprinkle Joy, Hannah,
yeah.
and having you on the talk show. So I always, actually, it was one of my keynotes, I teach the power community and connections and networking, and you have to just test them out until you find your tribe.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they say when they come to Women with Voices coffee, like, I found my tribe.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. So hopefully you did find your tribe.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
But some other things as a mom and entrepreneur, you know, it's physical labor, you know, moving locations. Mm-hmm. It's also, you know, time consumption, and, you know, being alone. How as an entrepreneur, a mom, having one on the way, how do you balance everything?
I think for me, I try my best to realize what my priorities are, remember what my priorities are. So faith and family are my priorities. Business is very important to me. My business is, you know, my creation. It's something that I'm passionate about. But I'm not perfect. I forget that sometimes. Sometimes my husband has to remind me, like, hey. And I'm like, okay, you're right. Like, the most important things in the whole world at the end of the day are my faith and my family. So I think that helps keep me on track.
Focused.
Yeah.
And then what's the one thing you do for yourself? You do a lot for others. You sprinkle joy,
yes.
Right? How do you find your joy for you, Hannah?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, honestly, like, so many things in my life bring me joy. So it's pretty easy. Even just like last night, my husband got home from work, and he was like, we're going outside and we're starting our garden. Nice. And he had like bought potatoes. And so we spent some time out there just planting potatoes and spending time with the family. So just little things like that. That's, you know, just doing those important things in my life. It brings me joy.
So share with me how you just recently, how long you been in Omaha? A year?
Just over a year. Yep.
If there's any military wives out there, how did you, or how have you, let's say there's some new military wives, how do you overcome if your husband has to go be, you know, out of the country or something? How do you cope with that? And has that happened to you?
Yeah, it's difficult. He's had some trips, maybe 4 or 5 since we've been here, which is a lot slower pace than when we were in Georgia. So I've been lucky since being here, and my family is 2.5 hours away. So that makes a really big difference. But I feel for all those military wives that have to deal with that. In Georgia, I dealt with it a lot more.
Like he was gone like what's the longest time?
So he deployed when our little girl was 3 months old, and he was gone for 7 months. So that was the longest. But he told me one time how many days he was gone. in a year, and it was like well over half.
Wow.
So he'd be home for a week and then leave, and then be home for a few days and then leave, and then so that was hard. It's tough, and I again learned the hard way that you just have to find the people. And I think even when you find the people, it's still hard.
Yeah.
You're still gonna have those nights where you're alone, and
Like a sick baby. I mean, newborn to 7 months old, there's a lot of sick nights in there.
Yeah, just those tough times where, so you can surround yourself with a lot of people, which is great. But I think almost more valuable is finding someone that like you can be like, hey, my child is sick, my husband is gone.
Yeah.
I just need to like
Talk to someone.
Yeah, just like come over and have dinner with us,
Yes.
or anything like that. So those are really valuable if you can find people like that.
Because now your family is 2.5 hours away.
Yeah.
So that's nice. I
Yeah.
bet they were like, yay, Hannah's back with it. Now, what's your little one's name?
Kinsley.
Kinsley. And now, do you have a name for your second one?
We don't yet. We're working on it.
Gosh, audience, put out there,
Yeah.
like, what should we call Hannah's baby? I love that.
Yeah.
What's some other things that you want to do as sprinkle joy?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of ideas. I think like that's part of the fun of being entrepreneurs, coming up with all the ideas. A lot of fun product ideas, and I've been in conversations with Happy Mango Bakery about some of those collaborations. But I think my big goal with Sprinkle Joy is really like the mission of the shop is simple. It's to sprinkle joy. Hopefully you come into the shop and you have an experience that's full of joy. And then I also try to sprinkle joy in the community by giving 5% of all of our sales back to charity each month. And that's something I'm really passionate about. I would, I kind of want to try and plug that in a little bit more and be a little bit more involved in how that works and those charities. And
how does that work? Do they have to apply for it, or do you just pick one, or?
Yeah, so the process right now is kind of a little hectic. It's a little all over the place. Eventually, I have a plan.
It happens, yes.
But we do have a place on our website where you can enter a charity, nominate a charity, and that's really simple. You just put their name and I think website. So I do have a database of lots of nonprofits there. And then occasionally I'll post on like our social media outlets, like, help us choose the charity. So like right now we have a post that's live, like help us choose the charity for April. And so people are, commenting and getting the word out about that. And then other times it's just like, okay, what's like on my heart?
Absolutely. I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
What's God's putting on your heart?
Yeah. So it's a combination of all of it.
Any great stories of nonprofits that you've helped so far in the past, or is it just something new you're doing?
Yeah, well, we had started doing it ever since we opened in Georgia. And so the first one we worked with Project Harmony, or we worked with, was that the first one? No, I'm going to get them all confused. But we worked with Project Harmony. We worked with Humble and Kind. They changed their name to Dignity Closet. We worked with the 50 Mile March Foundation. And right now it's Angels Among Us.
Nice.
So,
they're all good. One thing about Omaha, Nebraska audience is that we have a lot of amazing nonprofits, right? And Midland's Business Journal actually puts out a magazine. I don't know if you know that. You can stop by the office there and get the magazine. They showcase. Metro Magazine showcases all the nonprofits.
Nice.
When I worked for the Greater Omaha Chamber, I noticed that you could just open up this magazine and see all the amazingness of Omaha and these nonprofits. So that might be something that might be interesting.
Yeah.
As far as you wanting to do more, do you find that you want to do more locations?
Some people ask me this question of like, how ambitious is your business? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm like, honestly, I just want the store to be in a place like, financially where it can support itself, and it to be doing its mission of making people happy. Like, that's really as far as my ambition goes for now. If it continues to grow and that opportunity presents itself, like I would evaluate it at that point. But like that's just not where my
having a
ambition is
baby
at this point.
You're having a baby really soon,
Yes.
and things change. You don't know.
Right.
You have one, then two. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit busier.
Right.
But I love that you sprinkle joy. If you had an unlimited budget and you could sprinkle joy, where would you sprinkle it?
So I've actually kind of had this little bit of a seed planted in my head of like, would I just like make Sprinkle Joy a nonprofit, and then as opposed to like doing the 5% every month, it would just be a vehicle for the nonprofit to fundraise. So I've had that kind of like, what would that look like? How does that work? That's probably what I would do.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. How can people find you? The
Yeah.
address, the websites, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so we have a website, sprinklejoyfrozencustard.com. If you Google Sprinkle Joy, we come up. We're on Facebook. I think if you search Sprinkle Joy Omaha, maybe it comes up. And then we're on Instagram, Sprinkle Joy Frozen Custard.
So I love that. And then keep local. That's a great one you should be on, or hashtag keep local.
Yeah.
Keep local.
Yeah.
I love that you sprinkle joy.
Yes.
I love that how it came about is when you built your community, when you went to church in that community, and God just opened up those gates for you.
Yeah.
And that you're going to be a mama too. I love it. Any other words you want to say out there to entrepreneurs wanting to start something when their voice is being told to do something?
Yeah, listen to your voice. I really do believe that that's super powerful. It's scary. It's going to be hard. But I think my perspective is all from my faith. When I feel like I'm not doing well, I'm not doing it correctly, something went wrong, it's too hard, I just, take a step in and say, he's got it. He's got it. So I can't imagine not having faith and going through those tough situations, because it is hard. So that's my advice.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Hannah, for being on the Power Up Talk Show. Remember, audience, you can sprinkle joy. It takes one person, one action, one word, one smile. Sprinkle joy. And let's be Omaha, the Sprinkle Joy capital.
Yes.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.